hello everyone. I am going to give you a quick, if we can go to the next slide, a quick reminder to, no, the previous one. There you go. We're good. For the entire audience, if by any chance you need to leave early, hopefully that's not the case, but you know that this is recording, or please know that this is being recorded. We are going to make this available on demand as soon as we are done. So we will pass this to the team. We will put it on our YouTube channels and other channels that we have on our website. So please, if you want to go ahead and catch up or show this to the rest of your team, you are more than welcome to do so by grabbing the link from the on-demand webinars page that we have in our in our website. The other thing is that if you have any questions, I encourage you to please use the Q&A button. Multiple reasons for that, but the most important is that in the case that we cannot get to your question before we close today's session, we will follow up via email with you once we get the question recorded. You are more than welcome to place those questions in the chat window as well. I cannot promise that we will be able to follow up later. However, so please go ahead and put all your comments, anything that you would like to share. I encourage you to have that conversation going as we listen to all the insights that Anshu is going to present. And also we have some additional resources at the end for you. Okay, so, but most importantly, Q&A, we will have a session for you. Don't wait until then to ask any questions that you may have. I will keep an eye on the questions. If we can answer right away, we will. If not, we will wait until the end. I see some hands being recent. We will try to open the mic at the end for questions. So time permitting, we will allow some of you to jump in and ask any questions. If you are not microphone shy, please, you will be able to verbalize the question in case you don't want to type it. All right. And so, yeah, for today's agenda, we are going to, if we can go to the next slide, we are going to give you a quick recap to TestCloud. So this webinar is fully focused on TestCloud. Today, we have some cool updates that Anshu is going to present to us, but also we are aware that not all of you may know what TestCloud even is. So I am going to give you a quick overview. It's going to take 2 minutes. We're not going to get you bored here with a product pitch. We just want to give you set the stage for the updates that we're going to present to you. And and then let's go ahead and get started. All right. So the first thing that I wanted to tell you, actually, we have a poll for you. Let me go ahead and see if I can launch this. Or Kalian, if you can do it in the background, do you mind? Do you have the ability to launch the poll for the audience? If not, that's fine. I think here, I'll do it. There you go. So you should be getting a poll right now on whether you are familiar with TestCloud or not. And you also can go ahead and put that information in the chat if you want to make a comment. We would be very happy. I just want to get a sense of where are we at here with the audience. I see that some people are saying not familiar at all, completely valid, heard of it, but know very little, and very familiar and use it often. Also, we have some percentage in there. All right. So we are going to hold this open for a couple of minutes. And actually, I'm going to leave it there while we do the introduction for TestCloud. And Anshu, if we can go to the next slide. So for those of you who are not familiar with TestCloud is a solution that Katalon provides that allows you to run tests again on the cloud. You get the same advantages that you would get with any vendor. Think of any vendor that positions their or places their solutions on the cloud. So one of the benefits is that you don't have to worry about setting up environments. We will do all the heavy lifting for you. What that means is that you don't have to go ahead and set up any sort of I'm going to call it a data center in your lab where you are going to go ahead and do all the testing. You don't have to do any of the configurations. One of the cool things about TestCloud is you don't have to worry about setting up infrastructure. All that time that you spend setting up all your environments for testing, you can focus on making your test even better. So because we go ahead and do the heavy lifting. So TestCloud pretty much is a solution that allows you to do test without any infrastructure set up. There is no maintenance. There is one of the cool things also is that all the updates and everything are done in the back end for you. So as soon as you go ahead and spin up one of the environments, they have all the latest and greatest that you may need, and it's fully integrated with the Katalon's ecosystem. So again, no worries about working with desktops or KRE or Studio, of course. If you're using these, there is no crazy configurations that you have to do in the background. All right. So that if we go to the next slide, you and I'm sure, I'm sorry if I'm jumping here on your slides, but you feel free to also cover this if you want to. But and this is the last slide for the intro. One of the things that the advantages that you get here is you get real mobile devices. This is one of the value props for TestCloud. If you're doing mobile testing, you get access to real mobile devices where you can go ahead and select which device you want, which operating system, all the parameters that you need for your test, and then you go ahead and say, hey, execute it. So, and then you're good to go. Browser versions as well, and the scalability is limitless virtually, because you're working in the cloud. There is no limitations to that you don't have. You eliminate all the limitations that you may have if you're doing tests locally or even remotely on your own environments. All right, so that is the very quick intro of TestCloud, and with that, I am going to pass the time to Anshu. Anshu, if you want to add more or elaborate more on this, feel free to do so, and if not, the time is yours.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Lucio. That's a great intro, and I'm sure everyone here. So actually, in the poll, we saw that less than 20% of people here actually knew TestCloud well, right? So I think this is the perfect occasion for us to dig a little bit deeper into what TestCloud can actually do for you. So first of all, what TestCloud is, as Lucio has said, is a provider environments of browsers, of real mobile devices, basically the main testing types that you can do with Katalon, and that's going to translate into you having little need to set up the infrastructure, to worry about maintaining the infrastructure, and be able to execute your test really conveniently, right? So for example, something that we've been kind of seeing a lot of success with among our customer base is mobile testing, because mobile testing in particular, I'm sure you can imagine there's a lot of challenges there. You have to set up a lot of infrastructure. You have to buy hardware, the mobile devices, and set them up in a very particular way to be able to run with automation. And that is if you want to have real devices, right? Real devices are not the same as simulators or emulators. You have totally different behaviors and configurations with real devices. And that's what we are providing here with TestCloud. And a lot of advanced feature, even if you are someone familiar with Appium and iOS simulation, for example, you would not have an easy time setting up things like camera injection, biometrics authentication, IP and GPS spoofing, things like that, more advanced features helping you to simulate different production environments. And that's what we are trying to achieve with TestCloud. So basically giving you as many real production scenarios for you to run tests on as possible. When it comes to, and really when it comes to TestCloud, we are talking a lot about convenience and flexibility and scalability. Part of that is the fact that when you buy TestCloud, when you onboard onto TestCloud, what you are buying is access to a lot of different environments. So you can instantly scale up your execution just by, having more sessions and configuring to run on those sessions. So for example, you can run to 50, you can run to 100 really easily, all of those sessions concurrently. And also, you can trigger your test execution from TestOps, from Katalon Studio, from KIE, from CI/CD pipeline. So basically, all of the usual places that you would want to trigger to run your tests from. We support all of that, and we support all of that in a seamless way that requires you to set up nothing at all. So you don't have to worry about, plug in a Selenium hub or a Appium server or any kind of custom hardware connection into the machine and server and whatsoever. You just need to have a TestCloud license, and you'll be able to run immediately on Katalon Studio or TestOps or CI/CD. And we handle everything from queuing to orchestration to the actual execution for you. So for a typical customer, what it would be like is without TestCloud, right? So a life cycle, I'm sure many of you would know, but as a QA person, right? In an organization, you will have to request to purchase a real device or a server. You have to configure the specific OS version of Windows or iOS or Android. You have to configure the right settings and security for that device to be compliant and be able to execute tests on. And then you have to manage to connect all of that to your testing infrastructure, to your toolings, to KIE, and all of that. And then finally, you have to think about, okay, how do I share the environments? How do I manage the access to environments? And alongside all of those upfront setup costs, you also have to think about how do I maintain the devices when they break? How do I replace them and change them up when I want to upgrade from, let's say, iPhone 15 to iPhone 16? Do I throw away the old device and buy a whole new one? How do I manage the queuing of devices? For example, if I have 10 people wanting to execute at the same time, but I only have 3 different servers running, how do I do that? And finally, anything you want to change, like, hey, I want to install Chrome on Windows instead of Linux. You have to submit a ticket to CloudOps or sysadmins or whatever your organization has and wait for them to respond and wait to verify all that before you can actually run the regression. So a lot of things have to be done without TestCloud for you to execute your test. And I'm sure you understand that, right? So what I'm trying to sell you on here is, hey, with TestCloud, you only really have to go through 3 steps. First, get the license. Second, select the configuration on CI/CD, on TestOps, on Katalon Studio, as I showed you before, and finally just run it. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about any kind of setup or maintenance. We will provide you with the latest browsers, the latest Android devices, iOS devices, iPhones, Galaxy, whatever, right? So that's a huge value that our customers see in TestCloud. So, and finally, all that is to say that, hey, then again, to summarize, TestCloud has a lot of benefit. You are going to be able to test everywhere instantly. You are going to save time and money really directly, and then tangibly you will see that. The scaling is going to be effortless, and you are going to secure the test execution with our compliance, with our security, with our guarantee that you also have on any other Katalon products, right? This is going to be a much lower cost alternative to maintaining the multiple browsers and Android devices and any of those combinations. It's going to save you a lot of headaches and efforts in maintenance. And especially if you're new to mobile testing or cloud environments, this is going to be so easy for you to get on board and to actually get started on that testing effort. And then that's where we see a lot of huge returns among our customer base, where, people go in with TestCloud and they just say, okay, this is easy, this is helping a lot in onboarding the organization onto a new methodology of testing. Right. All right. So I'm glad you guys have questions here, and I would love to see more questions. So throw them in before before we go into some other updates that we have for TestCloud. I do want you to show people. Sorry. I do want to show people the different offerings that we have for TestCloud and what they mean, because I know that, well, from the polls, right, most of you even never heard about TestCloud. So I do want to clarify, okay, what do you get by buying TestCloud? What are you going to see buying TestCloud? And then, yeah, what should you choose, right? So we have 4 different kind of packages for you to choose from: desktop and mobile app, and live testing. For desktop, you are going to basically have the starter package of desktop browser only, where you can do automation testing or manual testing on that. For desktop and mobile, well, straightforwardly, you have desktop browser plus mobile browser, right? And for mobile app, that's where you get real mobile devices for you to perform native app testing on. So all of those SKUs are going to have automation testing and manual testing bundled within. Now, if you are someone who's more oriented towards manual testing, where you want to have live access to manual testing environments, where a manual tester is going to go onto the web app and interact with a real device, then you can also look at the live testing package, where you have access to all of those environments and the manual testing aspect without the automation testing aspect, right? So if you are interested, and later on, if you go on and explore about TestCloud on our websites or through your sales reps, I'm sure you are going to see something similar to this. And really, when you think about TestCloud and when you consider something like TestCloud for your organization, it's important for you to think about the fact that in most other cases, you are paying for both the environments. So let's say you have a VM on AWS, right? You are also paying for that VMs and also the execution engine. So the execution engine can be something like Katalon runtime engine, right? You are paying for both of those. For TestCloud, what you are getting is a bundle of those things in one single license. So in terms of cost effectiveness, we are trying our best to, because we are living within the Katalon system. So that's what we do, right? We give you the best cost benefits possible by giving you both the execution environments of browsers and mobile devices alongside the execution engine for you. So you really only have to purchase TestCloud to be able to start executing things. All right. So, yeah. So, I see some question in chat, and don't worry, I will not jump the gun. I will save most of the question for the Q&A. But there's a really interesting question here that I think is going to be beneficial for what we are trying to show next. Why is automation testing not available in live testing? So I believe Jose asked this question. Right. So when you think about TestCloud, and this is going to be a long-winded answer, and I do want you to stay with me because I'm sure this is going to be interesting for you in the end. When you think about Katalon, right, the interesting thing is we've been the number one automation shop for quite a few years, and that's been our thing, automation testing. However, recently you start hearing things from our thought leaders, from our pro-up teams about manual testing aspects, how we are thinking about serving the manual testers. And that's exactly what we are trying to do with this introduction, and then many to follow. You will see Katalon being able to serve the needs of manual testers. So, for example, for something like TestCloud, what we are trying to do with TestCloud is execution, right? But beyond execution, you also have the management of test cases. You also have the authoring of test cases. You also have the reporting of test results from both manual and automation. So for manual testing, you are going to be able to do that with TestOps. For automation testing, you already can do that with KSE, and you will also continue to be able to do that on TestOps too. And even with something like TrueTest, which is a amazing product, leveraging intelligence from our AI engine to be able to generate test cases for you, you will also see a lot of different automation tests generated over the course of your application's production usage. And ultimately, TestCloud is going to serve the execution needs for thousands and thousands of test cases across manual and automation. So what we are trying to do is catering to the specific needs within that vast area of execution, right? So for live testing, the reason why live testing is only focused on manual testing is because, well, the pricing is going to be different. It's going to be more applicable for a per seat licensing where you are talking about, like, okay, I maybe have like 100 manual testing in my organization, and I may need 100 live testing licenses for my manual testers. And that pricing is going to have to be a little bit different from the automation pricing, right? And that's going to be also our entry for you to be able to enjoy the benefits of the environments that TestCloud can offer to you, right? And so ideally, as you mature, as you have more complexity, as you have more requirements in how your QA operations are done, we would gradually move towards a combination of desktop and mobile app packages for you to be able to cover all the different AUTs and environments that you want to have. Typically, our customers would try to specialize in some certain aspects. So it's very rare that someone is going to be like, hey, I'm going to test 100% on desktop browsers and also 100% on mobile apps, right? So either you are going to be more focused on mobile app testing, or you are going to be more focused on desktop web testing because you only have so much effort in QA. And so that's also why you will see that separation between mobile app testing and desktop and browser testing, because that's where the AUTs are going to be very different. So yeah, that's a long answer, but I hope it's going to give you a lot more context onto why we kind of design our service with TestCloud. All right. So a key thing I do want to be able to show today is our TestCloud mobile live testing. So this is going to be something new. A lot of you, I saw that a lot of you have used TestCloud before. Some of you may even have trial it and evaluated in the past and have a lot of different opinions on what TestCloud can do and can do for you. But something new we introduced this year is the mobile live testing capability. And generally, it's going to be the live testing capability for users, right? So what it is our first feature on TestCloud targeting manual testing. You are going to be able to access real mobile and web application environments on Android, iOS, whatever, without the hassle of managing physical devices. So imagine you have, like, I don't know how you are doing manual testing in your organization right now, but think about this, like, hey, I want to test my application on Android, on Chrome, but also I want to make it work on iOS and Safari. Now you have to buy an Android phone and a iOS device, and you have to think about, okay, what kind of models do I want? What kind of iOS version and Android version do I want? And you have to find a way to make that available, make those devices available to all the manual testers on your team. And I'm sure that's going to be a huge hassle for you. So really the value props here is really clear. Just get a TestCloud license and you are going to be able to access whatever mobile device you want from anywhere within your team. You literally do not have to worry about the access management or the availability or the device coverage anymore, right? So you are going to have real devices to test on. You are going to have remote control interactions, not just the basic of tapping and scrolling, but also controlling the network, controlling the IP, etc. And eventually, you will be able to just easily open a browser tab and access a device. So let me show you that right now. And actually, I do want to do that on production, on the production website. I know that Katalon here has prepared a video to help me out, but yeah, I do want to show you how easy it is. So let me create a new share.
While that loads, and sure, I know there are some questions about whether this is going to be online, available on demand later. So yes, to anyone who's just joining us, this webinar will be available on demand later on katalon.com/webinars. Just the same place where you registered. If you register via our website, it will be in there, and also on our channel on YouTube. All yours.
Yeah. All right. And yeah, if you have to drop early, let us know so that we maybe get you the question before you drop. I don't want anyone to have to miss whatever burning questions they have on their minds right now. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. All right. So yeah, this is what you will see with the live testing, right? So it's going to be pretty straightforward. Basically, you see a huge selections of devices. And yeah, this is also the perfect time for me to actually kind of explain a little bit more and showcase to you what I actually mean when I say, okay, you get access to different environments, right? So yeah, all of this, you can access all of these from iPhone 15 Pro to iPhone 7 on different iOS versions, iPads, Samsung devices, Google devices, Huawei, Xiaomi, OnePlus, all of these things with just one single license. So technically, I only need one single license to access all of this, because we are with TestCloud. We are selling the concurrent executions and not the devices. So you are not buying a device farm for yourself or whatever here, right? And that's really the advantage, where you just need one single license to access all of these different environments, and you have a lot of flexibility in how you can test. So first of all, let me just randomly select this Galaxy S24 device. No idea if this is the latest. I am assuming so. And yeah, so yeah, that's all you have to do really. You just log into Katalon. You go to live testing. You select the device, and yeah, now you're in. So as you can see, we already installed the device for you. Here you will see that this is going to be a real device screen that you can interact with. We have different kind of logs here. You have the device log, you have the network log, you have the UI inspector, you have the ADB shell for you. If you enable that, you can access all of that. And yeah, on the left here, you also have different functions like app controls. You can queue the apps, you can take screenshot, record a video, you can view all those things that you have taken. You can also look at IP geolocation. So maybe I want to not be in Vietnam, I want to be from like United States, India application, then yeah, you can do that here. You can also just manually select a GPS location here. And you can also set different network profile for the device. You can even go offline, or you can just go to a custom data rate to see how the app behave in different environments. And yeah, so all in all, you have a lot of flexibility with what you can do on the devices, and all of this serve the purpose of allowing a manual tester. So if I'm a manual tester and I want to verify something, like, hey, I click on app, and then I scroll down to the bottom, I click on text to speech. Well, I I was supposed to click on text to speech, but well, So I click on app, and then I go to another setting. Now I go to, let's say, control and light theme. Yeah. So it's just a really straightforward way for you to do manual testing like that, right? For now, you will have to, as you can see, this is just an execution environment for you, for a manual tester. We do not have yet for you the automatic logging of artifacts, but that's really something that we want to give to you. And to be clear, that's not something that's common across providers, right? We want to be able to eventually down the line automatically record the different steps you go through when you perform this manual testing, automatically pull in the screenshots, the videos, or even the defects that you see when you perform the manual testing on our devices, and log that onto Katalon TestCloud's for you, so you don't have to waste more time just doing the result logging when you do manual testing anymore, right? But yeah, so that's basically what our live testing can do. As you can see here, you also have access to a lot of different things. You can log into the Google Play Store to download some app from there. You can go to Google Chrome. You can go to browser, or you can even test the image injection with the camera on the device. So all that isn't going to be available to you, right? So I'm going to pause here and see if I have more questions to answer. Let's go back to the presentation. All right. So I see that we have a poll here. I don't know if we want to do that yet.
Let me go ahead and launch that before you start the demo. And let me close this really quick. Oh, I see what's going on. 1 second, guys. Actually, go ahead and see. Yeah, this is the final one. And for the rest of the audience, we will ask you if we would like to hear more about TestCloud. But in the meantime, if you want to continue with the demo, Anshu, we'll launch this in a few minutes. Sounds good?
Yep. All right. So yeah, let me get through the questions.
Okay. So we have multiple questions in the chat. Thank you all for posting those there. And also, I think one of the most important ones that I've seen repeated in the chat and also in the Q&A, Anshu, is how many concurrent or parallel executions can you do using TestCloud?
Right. So I'm going to talk about two things, right? In terms of product capabilities, there's really no limit. So you just execute as much as you want to. In terms of packaging or licensing, as we say, when you buy TestCloud, you are buying one concurrent session. So that means that you are not limited by how many execution you can run within a month, for example, but you are limited by how many execution you can run it at the same time. So one license mean running one execution at the same time, two mean two executions at the same time, and it's that straightforward.
Excellent. And for the for the audience, I just launched while we are taking care of the Q&A, I launched the poll for you guys to let me know if you're interested in learning more about TestCloud. So I'm going to leave that one open. I see a lot of people participating. Thank you for that. So yeah, and sure, I'm going to let you be the judge of all the questions. If you want to open the Q&A platform in your Zoom, and you are more than welcome to pick the ones that you would like to. We have a lot of them. We also have some time, but we want to be respectful of your time. So go for it.
Right. All right, perfect. So we have a little bit of time. So I get through the questions in the Q&A first. All right. All right. So Derek, yeah, the question is you are asking, basically you have read in some support pages that TestCloud can cause slower performance than locally. Have improvements been made to resolve this? So yes, I can both say that yes, we are guilty as charged that, well, frankly, TestCloud was a newborn in our family relative to something like Katalon TestCloud, right? So maybe 2 years ago, especially when it first went to market, we had a lot of improvements to be done. And we did improve. I can gladly and proudly say that to you. And as a matter of fact, our latest benchmark done in March indicated that you are getting basically parallel, similar performance running with TestCloud for mobile testing and browser testing as you would have done locally. And the only factor why local execution would be faster is because a typical local machine would be much more powerful than a typical server, right? And yeah, so give it a try again if you can, Derek, and I'm sure you are going to have a much better experience now. Right. And next question also from Derek. Thanks a lot for the participation. Running my executions, whether sequential or parallel, I'm halted on additional executions due to memory usage via my local machine to the TestCloud. Have improvements been made for this as well? Right. So that, yeah, the way that Katalon Studio run with TestCloud is a little bit different from, let's say, from CI/CD. So the reason why you're seeing this is because if you run with TestCloud from Katalon Studio, for example, what you are doing is actually doing debug commands to TestCloud. So that's why you will see step-by-step logs streaming from TestCloud back to Katalon Studio. You are sending individual commands directly from the Katalon Studio instance to our TestCloud server. So there's a lot of overheads and delays there. We have made improvement there, actually. We have made great improvements. Again, coming back to my earlier answer. So try again, but you are going to be even seeing much better performance if you are executing from something like TestOps or KIE or a CI/CD pipeline, because that's where TestCloud really shine for regression scenario, where you have to run a lot of test cases where you are not debugging, you are not following one single test case step by step, right? So yeah, hopefully that makes it a little bit clearer to you. And I mean, if you have more questions, feel free to reach out more to our team. We love to talk about these technical things. All right. Okay, from Anonymous, you need to install a program on device to trigger words, and you're using browser stack, and this is a limitation on the physical device. I don't know if you are talking about mobile phone or desktop environments, but unfortunately, our TestCloud devices do not support, desktop app testing. So when we talk about desktop with TestCloud, we are talking only about browser testing and not desktop applications. For mobile applications, yeah, we can actually work around this. Still, again, this is not an ideal use case. As you can see, browser stack itself, they are also a big player here. I have a lot of respect for them, but the reason why we do not often support this use case is because it falls away from the usual AUT focused testing methodology that we pursue. Okay, next question from Khalid. So under license, there are four types of licenses. Well, yeah, so exactly. So let me come back to the slide. And yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So if I was not clear, if you purchase TestCloud either from our self-serve marketing website or from our commerce engine portals and our internal portals on our building page, you will see these different licenses for TestCloud. And yeah, earlier I was trying to explain why we have that kind of differentiation, because we are trying to cater to a wide range of audience. The common goal is execution, but within execution itself, you are having different maturity level or different AUTs, application under tests, right? My general recommendation is, hey, if you're already using Katalon, then consider between the desktop and mobile, or the mobile app licenses. Those are the two main licenses that we see our customers having a lot of satisfaction with. All right. One more question from Derek. For mobile testing, if creation of a test case based on elements used within my repository is extracted from a certain device, Android or iOS, what if I decide I want to use a different version of the mobile device with those elements from a repository have issues, or will it work on any device within TestCloud? Yeah, so a major point for us building something like TestCloud is expanding your coverage without expanding your cost, right? So the answer is yes. If you are testing Android, you should be able to reuse those elements, those objects across Android environments. If you are using iOS, same thing should apply. So really, yeah, I really do hope that you give it a try, Derek, because you seem like the type of guy who would have a lot of great feedback for our product and would actually benefit a lot from TestCloud. All right, so moving on to Pranavan. If I purchase a Katalon Premium license, what type of support will be included and for how long will it be available? On configuration, troubleshooting, or smooth running. I don't know if you are referring to the premium package on TestOps or the premium or the Premier Success. And maybe Lucio would have the answer here because I don't actually remember.
I believe you will get support 24/7 or 24/5 support from the premium license. You don't get a dedicated CSM with that particular licensing model, but for that one you get the opportunity to create a ticket and an SLA on the ticket depending on the priority. I don't have the details for you, but we will follow up. But that is the gist of it. You don't in the free version of in our product, which would be Studio. If you get the free version of Studio, you get only community support plus all the documentation and the Katalon Academy and the forums that most of you are familiar with. If you go with the second tier, that's when you start getting paid support, or we include paid support, which is it has a particular SLA depending on the case, and in addition to that, you get daily. I believe it's 24/5. Excluding the weekends, but don't quote me on that. We'll definitely follow up with you.
Yeah, and a very anecdotal contribution I can make here is that from a product engineering side of things, what we do is we receive the support ticket from you, and we just get started on it immediately, basically, and then get back to you as soon as possible. So yeah, we don't sit on support tickets or whatever. And yeah, you don't have to worry about it, and it doesn't have to like a breaking bug, right? It can be a question from you, and our support staff are really knowledgeable, and they can get back to you in no time at all. If it's just you needing help from configuration or optimization of your setup or things like that. All right. Another answer. Another question I see here is, can we get the API URL when using the mobile? So I don't exactly know what you are referring to here, but if it's about API, then yes, we do have APIs and we do have API documentation for you to use. So yeah, I don't know if you are using Katalon at the moment, Katalon TestCloud at the moment. If you are, reach out to our support staff. We can give you that easily. If you are not, then it's in our documentation page. And hopefully, when you give TestCloud a try, you will also have a easy time getting started on that. All right.
If anyone is curious about the API reference, I'm putting it here on the in the chat for everyone.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so last question here before I move on to answering some questions from the chat window. In the testing cloud, I have a couple of issues. Oh, okay, so I'm assuming you are already using it. Failed steps are not consistent. Right. So yeah, what you are seeing here. So if you are seeing inconsistent failure, so you are seeing like, okay, I'm filling a step 8 or step 10 on different executions, and maybe you're not even finding an element, then that's what we typically call a flaky test case, right? My recommendation to users usually would be to check in with development team to see if the locator or the general structure of the application is sound, so that it has no shifting layout, it has no problem with consistency. And the second thing is, okay, is there any other difference between the configuration? So are you running on different environments or not? Are you running local versus cloud? In this case, assuming you are talking about just cloud, then the difference is usually will just come from the application where there's some inconsistent behavior in the loading time, especially waiting period. So, for example, if you do not configure something like smart wait, if you do not your configuration of wait time is too low, it's a very common scenario where people forget that, hey, I can actually change the wait time of detecting an element or interacting with an element, so that it's a little bit more consistent across different conditions of testing. So yeah, I mean, that's something I'm suggesting to you, but the ideal case for you, if you are already using TestCloud, is to reach out via our support channel, because that's where I can really deep dive into your specific issues and help you out. Yeah, the second part of your question is on everything is okay. Yeah, so yeah, support ticket. So yes, you should submit a support ticket. Is there a way for you to debug the testing cloud? So yeah, again, I don't know if you are using TestOps or not, or just Katalon Studio. But usually in the report itself, you will have the debug log from Katalon. You have the different artifacts. If that's not sufficient, if you cannot see any tangible kind of errors from the test or the application itself, then yeah, do reach out to us. We would be able to help you in debugging further. All right. So yeah, moving on to the chat. Let me see if I missed something. Yeah, so I think that's a great question about AI-driven capabilities that Lucio also have to answer in the chat, and I encourage everyone to check out the pitch on that, because that's going to be a great resource for anyone wondering about how AI can help you in your QA processes. We are actually really excited to talk to you more about that later on. You have any training demo on Katalon Studio? Yeah, based on automation regression testing. Yeah. So a lot of questions that you will have about best practices, recommendations on how you should do certain things will be available via the Academy. We have a lot of great contribution in our Academy, and generally people have been finding it really helpful to get them started. All right. Yeah. All right. So yeah, thanks Aziz in helping me answering some of these questions too. I think we went over everything. Do let me know if I missed any something, but if not, then I'm going to hand off to Lucio.
I think we covered it all, Anshu. Thank you so much. If you can skip to the last slide, I have a quick announcement to make to the rest of the audience, or to all of our audience. We are doing on April 24th the season finale of the software quality, of the Quality Horizon 2025 season 2. So for those of you who are not aware, in January 2024 we did the first Quality Horizon event. And this year we have a very cool lineup with Joe Colantonio. We have some experts here from Katalon as well. Alex Martins is going to be there. We also have a lot of experts from the industry. While this is something that is being hosted by us, I want you all to rest assured that this is not going to be a bunch of product pitches. It's going to be a very cool event for you to come and learn from experts in the QA industry, people that you may be following in your communities or in LinkedIn that always have a lot of cool stuff to share. So scan that QR code or go to, I believe I put the the link on the chat as well. There you go. Thank you, Callan. So go ahead and register. We will see you all in April 24th at 11 in the morning Eastern time. George Shirley will be hosting that as well. So I'm very excited to see all the familiar faces there. With that said, Anshu, this was excellent. Thank you so much for sharing all the insights and all the updates. I hope it was as helpful for the audience as it was for me. And thank you for your all the answers to all the cool questions. To the audience, thank you so much for being here. I hope you learned and got some cool insights. As Anshu said, please reach out to us if you have any questions, if you would like to see a demo, if you want to, if you need any help with any of the products that you're using right now. And if we didn't get to any of one of the questions that you asked, we will follow up with you via email. Again, this is going to be available on demand on katalon.com/webinars. And that's it. Anshu, thank you so much. And thank you to the audience.
Thanks, everyone.
All righty. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.